composing gloves here, and the time has come to talk about modulation. What the junk is modulating? How is it doing what it's doing? There's just a lot of things that we need to talk about. So it's been a long time, man. So let's do this. First off, we understand routing, we understand ratio, we understand hertz, we understand waveforms. We got all that jazz down. Now we're just like, man, give me the meat. Well, I'm going to now explain to you what the modulation's doing and why it's doing what it's doing. And I'm going to do this on the default patch, of course. And okay, let's come over here. I'm going to go over to my oscillator tab just because it's the most comfortable tab I have. So if I play a tone, we know that operator 1, is coming out. And it's just going out my matrix, and that's it. I'm hearing it. Now, what happens if I turn on operator 2 and modulate operator 1 by operator 2? So that looks something like this, Well, I get this. And that's really great. And I'm going to oversample this. If you're wondering what oversampling is, you need to go watch my digital series, my digital audio series. So I'm going to take operator 2. Now I'm going to turn the ratio off. So right now, operator 2, the ratio is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So nothing's going to come out of operator 2. So my signal is going to be unaffected. Let me zoom back. Whoops, that's the wrong zoom. Zoom back in here. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Okay, so it's modulating. Now, what happens when I turn on and I do it on like 0.001? You see my pitch starts to go down, and it will eventually come back if I turn it up a bit faster. We get this like whoa, 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 whatever. I didn't get the speed quite right, but I would not be that great of an FM synthesizer. But we get this going on. Okay, well, that's really cool. What the heck's going on? Why is it behaving that way? If I go over to a triangle, it gets even better. It's like, whoa, that's pretty fancy. If I come over here, now I get these clicks. What the deal is with these clicks? Square wave. More clicks. And I do it again. Unusually shaped clicks. Okay, well, unusually timed clicks. What's going on? Well, this uses something called the differential. Or I believe it's the integral when I look at the equations. Now, this is something I didn't totally understand. You don't need to completely understand it either to know what's happening so that you can make important creative decisions in your life. So what's going on here? Well, what it does is it takes the difference in slope and uses that as the modulation input to tell the pitch on your carrier how to behave. Now, you should understand most of that sentence by this time. You should understand, modulation is telling the carrier how to do something. That should be very clear from the modulation video, telling it how to behave. But how does it tell it to turn on and off? How does it tell it, like change pitch more, change pitch less, that kind of a thing. And some people, this is why it's called phase modulation, because phase is the point in the waveform relative to time at a particular spot. So, and a lot of people say phase is the beginning of a waveform, like how it starts. And, well, yeah, no. Go watch my video on phase and the sound and synth basics if you have that conception about phase, because that's going to confuse you. So, the neat thing about a sine wave is it's a graph of a circle. So, and that should be covered in my video, I think, right after that one on sine waves. But it's a graph of a circle. Well, this is really great and the dandy. This means that our curve, it's always a curve. The great thing about a curve is it's always changing. In a circle, well, I have the same change. And so it's curving up. So the pitch is being told, hey, we have a curve, and that is the rate of change. A rate of change we could call a curve. For in layman's terms, the easy way of understanding it is it's just a curve. And so as it curves, it's telling it send out a changing value based on how, like, the way it curves. If it's curving really tightly, it's going to have a faster change. If it's curving slowly, it's going to have a slower change, because the rate at which it's changing, if you see a line has a slope. But the slope is a 1-to-1 ratio. So let's go to a triangle wave real quick. So you see here, we have a rate of change that's constant. It does not, it's changing. It goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. That never changes. It stays the same the entire time. And as a result, the same inputs get sent out for this entire section right here. But in a sine wave, it's like, did we go up 1 and down a little bit, and then up a little bit more and down a little bit? Is it different? And then, so as a result, curves actually give us a bending pitch. We get that whoa, whoa, whoa. We get all the stuff in between, because there's all these stuff happening in between. When we reach the top, we are told, stop going forward, stop. It's sort of like delta sigma modulation in my digital audio series. I mean, that's sort of a bad, look up the low bit converter video. But as it's coming back down, it's like going, hey, now we're going down. Now we're going up. And the rate of change is constantly changing. And that tells us, that's why that behaves that way. This should hopefully be like, if you've ever tried this before, this like was news to me that this was how this works. So what if I do this? Well, hey, look at this. Well, right here, this is pretty straight. There's no change right here. I hit an offset here though. There's a change right here. I change direction. As a result, I just get a different tone. It's because I don't change. Once I change that one spot, then it stays constant. So the angle of this, what I've pointed to it on my screen. The angle of this is going to give me a different tone. So if I have a wider angle, I'll get a different tone than if I had a more narrow, acute angle. And then the change, this is not changing. This ratio, this rate of change is constant. So nothing happens here. Then I come down here and I've got another angle. So I get a different tone. And then it comes back and I just keep going through this relationship of up, down, up, down. You'll see that as I change it and make this angle different, I will get different tones. And the timing changes too. That's another important note. So that's really cool. Now, if I come over here to a saw wave, well, it appears there's no change. But there's this instantaneous thing that our computer has to deal with. It says, what the heck happens when I go from 0 to 100% instantly? Like, what goes on there? So you know what it does? It freaks out and gives us a click. And that's what a sine wave does. And so that's that for square wave. Oh, look at that. We have another one of those instant changes where the slope, there's no change at all. There's no rate of change. The change is, there's no rate of change. So it stays the same except for we have this thing in the middle. As a result, we get, more clicks. And then over here, we get the pulse wave, and that's even more clicks. So this is hopefully making sense. That's why a sine wave bends and a triangle wave teleports. And then we get these wonderful magical click things that go on. So this is a pretty cool thing. As you can see, this is a ground-based, like, whoa, man. This is going to change a lot about why we choose what we choose as far as harmonic series are concerned. And as I manipulate this, you can see, hopefully you've taken some away from this, a curve equals like a smoother rate of change. And any straight lines will equal a dramatic shift in change. So now that we know about our waveforms and how those are summed and stuff, we can now take that and say, hey, if I use a carrier that's got a curve with a point in it at some point and then it curves back out again, I can get something really interesting. If I find a signal, I could go in and record something, and maybe it's got a particular wave that has, maybe it curves out and then it turns into a straight line later. I know what that's going to sound like when I FM using that as a modulator. And this has become, now we're being very directional about this. We're being very particular about the way these things work. So if I had a high harmonic in here. You see, we get this curve, but then we have these curves inside the curves. These curves aren't straight curves either. So if we could find a way to sort of manipulate the high harmonic to be a straight line, which we could do using our formula from a triangle wave. We could create more harmonics and shift their phase around until we get something similar to a straight line, which I'm not nearly patient enough to do. But we could come up with a very particular waveform, and maybe we want to save that file. And so I believe there's a way to save it down here, but I might just save the patch and figure out another way to replicate it in another plugin. And I could just do all these really particular things and get particular modulator relationships that I really like. That is the reason why FM8 has the different waveforms as it does have. So hopefully this has been like revolutionary to you. And we've used only very basic routing capabilities here. Next up, I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about next up. I'm going to stop stating what I might talk about next up. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe. Share this video with people. I'm trying to get this stuff out there because I know the struggle of finding fragments that explain some of the stuff and all this other stuff. And so I'm trying to, hopefully I'm being more complete than stuff that you've found. Maybe I'm not. Maybe you found a really great resource. You should share that with us. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, subscribe and have a blessed day.
Opposing blows. Reversing.